I'm delighted to welcome Mr. Yousef Al Benyan, the Vice Chairman and CEO of SABIC and the Chairman of the GPCA. During his distinguished 30-year career at SABIC, Mr. Al Benyan has been instrumental in steering the company's growth in the Americas and in Asia, and is particularly credited for his significant contribution to SABIC's performance in China. In 2013, Mr. Al Benyan was appointed to head SABIC's chemical business, the company's largest unit, with a target of becoming the preferred global leader in chemicals by 2025. Amongst other appointments, Mr. Al Benyan is chairman of the boards at Yansab and SAFCO, and chairman of the Petrochemical Manufacturers Committee. He was elected chairman of the GPCA in May earlier this year. Please join me in inviting Mr. Al Benyan to the podium to deliver the welcoming address.
Very much. Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, Dr. Stan Al-Jaber, thank you very much for attending this important conference, and we are very delighted to have you and looking forward for your remarks. It's always a pleasure to see many old friends, and of course, looking forward to making new ones. I'm pleased and honored to welcome you as your incoming chairman for this important organizations. It's a privilege to serve alongside with our board members on GPCA, this pioneering organizations here in the Gulf region. Since our inception in March 2006, GPCA has successfully steered a regional petrochemicals and chemical industry. In this new era, it requires more coordinations and more cooperations in these important regions. Indeed, GPCA has come a long way in fulfilling its objectives. We have established committees to address issues and common concern, and organized workshops and seminars are important as well. Without your participations and partnership, our organizations could never have come that far. Conferences like this one, those have been hosted, best testify this is the strongest petrochemical conference in our industry. The world does not stand still, and we are facing competitors and also new challenges. Global markets are transferring. In our second decades, we must ensure that GCC not only transforms itself, but also we need to lead the way. Indeed, we face the world in a different environments, and GPCA need to reshape its strategy. This is why the theme we have chosen for this conference is competitiveness, riding a new waves. I believe we can, and we can ride those waves and bring our sectors in a very strong competitive positions in the future. This coming conference, I will illustrate what I believe, or what I call it, the 3 C's. Understanding the competition, understanding the competitions we are facing, and also the challenges that present itself. I believe changes also must take a very strong response to the changes in the market. Let me start by saying that we in the GCC chemical sector have much of which we can do and we should be proud of. We employ directly more than 143,000 jobs. In the same time, we have created more than 572 jobs directly. Ethylene productions has been a major success story for the GCC. Growth has taken us from around 5 million metric tons of ethylene into the year of 2000 to over 20 million by 2015. This is more than equivalent of 1 world-scale cracker every year. This growth has been driven primarily by the advantages of feedstock, which we are region blessed by. Altogether, we produce a capacity of more than 144 million tons in 2015, representing a growth of 9% annually. We are also making progress of diversifying our portfolio, adding more than 50 high new products every year. Some of those products will be produced in our region for the first time. In the same time, we should have a very active downstream industry that's going to bring jobs and opportunities for our young people. We must never forget, however, this growth has only occurred because of ultimate consumers want our products. Without customers' demand, this product is worthless. Production numbers alone did not tell us the real story. We should not look at our own strength by only looking at our productions. If we look at where chemical sales are actually happening, a different picture emerges. Europe and North America Free Trade Area, which includes the US, Canada, and Mexico, are about equivalent of size of 500 million euros in sales each year. Asia, excluding India and China, is slightly larger with 676 billion euros in sales. Both stand out in China with over 1 trillion euros of chemical sales in 2014. Where is the GCC? The GCC, essentially, we are in categories of others. The entire Middle East regions generates about 44 billion euros in chemical sales. We are very exposed, and I think this is a fact that we need to remember. Customers' demand as well. This can impact severely our industry for most quickly than the industry can adapt. In other words, past performance is no more guarantee for future result. This brings me to the first of my 3 C's. These are not only markets, they are competitors' regions as well. The competitive landscape is shifting beneath our feet. The fundamentals are changing, not only for the GCC, but also for the customers as well. Feedstock availability, for example, is no longer an advantage. Fracking in North America has changed the market pictures entirely. Not only this long ago, the United States was looking at the importing of natural gas. Now it has much natural gas of its needs. With abundant shale gas ethane, the U.S. ethylene industry has already built itself up on the stagnations and to become a leading producer. Between 2015 and 2020, the U.S. industry will bring over 8 million tons of new ethylene productions online. Much of its products will not be consumed domestically and is going to be exported. A great deal has been written about the difficulties of U.S. will face facilitating this additional export. The port of Houston is congested. There is a shortage of empty space. And I think these are all just trying to have a denial. The recent widening of the Panama Canal also produces shipping times, cost of large cargo loads between the U.S. Gulf and also Asian markets. It takes only 22 days shipped from Houston to North Asia, comparing to 19 days from Jubail to Asia. And you could see the competitiveness that is generated by this transformation. Speaking of China, coal to chemical is also beginning the biggest presence changing our landscape. Driven at least partly by the high cost of energy, the Chinese government is actively encouraging its industry and academic institutions to look for technology solutions that reduce dependence on imported energy. The obvious solution is coal, of which China has enormous reserve. Not only the coal-based methanol where China leads the world, but also is a coal to olefins. From 5 years ago, China in 2015 produced almost 3 million tons of ethylene from coal and just under 2 million tons of ethylene from methanol. So other major regions are not also stand still. They are looking at least as a part of their cost advantages that we have in GCC, they are employing their technology to mitigate it. The new competitive environment brings me to my second C's, is the challenges. One of the first, it's very important to realize that improving and make more efficient of our existing assets. And I think this is very important realizations for the challenges we are facing. Many of our complexes are standalone, with limited or zero interconnections. This is a very structural challenges for our industry for synergies. This limits our ability to optimize productions when product prices move. By comparison, in the US and Europe, the majority of crackers and consuming plants are connected by ethylene grids. This means system can adapt quickly to the changing circumstances and the market challenges. The GCC is far more limited in this regard, and we could not and we should not stand still. We should do more to overcome these challenges. It's more than just technology play. We must also build the local markets capability. Our ethylene derivatives tend to focus on high value, less complex products that needs the change. This is required changes, and we need to extend our product ranges. We should also become passionate about supporting local downstream industry by providing them with the products our regional consumers needs. By making products that are more complex and competing for specialty applications, will keep us in better positions in the future. We also need to build our regional capability and start attracting the high-end manufacturing operations to our regions to truly transfer itself and create high-quality manufacturing jobs. I'm glad to say we are seeing establishment of more research and development center here in GCC region, but we need to do more. Increasing our domestic market is crucial, given how global trade patterns are developing. Around the world, we are seeing emerging trade blocs, the European Union, the North America Free Trade Agreements, and so on. We in GCC countries are not part of any of these trading groups. We need to ensure we retain access to the world markets, and also while we are developing our global market share. Talent development is another challenge we face. We cannot succeed without a new raw material of talent. That requires consistent cooperations between governments, industry, and other stakeholders. This is why I am proud that GPCA is launching a Leaders of Tomorrow program that's aiming to build the local human resource capability and bridging the gap between the industry and academia. This is the vital first official collective steps where the stakeholders come together to prepare the next generations for our future leadership of our industry. Also high on our agenda, putting in place the best practices for driving sustainable developments through our value chain. With this signing of the Paris Climate Agreement in December of last year, we are also moving into an era where environmentally responsible and sustainable growth across all industry is the norm, rather than the exceptions. This is why we are planning to integrate the topics of sustainability into our conference, it's be supply chain, plastics, or fertilizer. This will bring me to the third C's, what we need to change. I see we have three options. First, we can continue doing what we are doing today, and in my opinion, this will lead to the dead end. The market is changing beneath us, our feet, and we continue walking the same path. This is going to be no longer is really a good option for our industry. The second option, diversifications. This holds a great deal of promise. We must engage more closely with our customers, better understanding their needs so we can bring themselves to differentiated, specialized solutions. By making more complex products and competing for specialty applications, we keep more revenue in the region and create good-paying, high-quality manufacturing jobs. But commodity markets and specialty markets are completely very different. Practicing diversification successfully require a large and more sophisticated organizations. This larger than many of our members at this point capable of managing. Which brings me to the third option, consolidations. I believe the only way for our industry to survive and thrive in the emerging global marketplace is by creating synergies and optimizing our current asset. As I mentioned earlier, many of our local producers are not integrated. The lack of a global network and the asset that can be leveraged. The lack of capital to make significant investment in technology and innovations and then create a value. This might require a merger or an acquisitions. So we have a lack of local producer integrations. We don't have the global network that we can leverage. And more importantly, we don't have enough some of the industry capital to leverage future significant investment to make the scale required to become and maintain your competitive positions. This might require mergers and acquisitions. Otherwise, I fear this meeting might be a good deal smaller in the future. I don't want to leave you with the wrong impression. My message is not one of doom and gloom, quietly the opposite. I believe our regions and our industry share very bright future. But the future will only happen if we do the things that is necessarily. We have come huge distance here in the GCC, but the goal lineups ahead of us to become stronger and more competitive. Reduce our cost through synergies and optimizations, leave nothing on the table. Recognize that we are in the fight for our export market. We cannot win solely on the cost. We need to win the customer service as well. In the same times, we need to build our local market and reduce our reliance on customers many thousand kilometers away from our regions. Finally, we need to use a full range of technology and innovations that tools are available to us. We have a huge reserve of unconventional chemical feedstock and populations almost 1/4 billion here in the Middle East. We need to develop products and build local value chain to better serve our customers' needs instead of allowing those needs to be imported from overseas. We need to innovate and the GCC intellectual and human capital aggressively developed to meet the human demands of this country, or region, sorry. With these actions, the GCC will continue to be just as successful in the future as well. I wish that I have been able to give you the proper view of our industry. Our industry is very strong on looking at our PFAS experience for the last 40 years since our inception. However, the challenges lies ahead of us. We cannot manage the business in the way that we have been managed because we have a completely different environments. I think we need to work with regulators to adjust some of the bylaws that it requires and help the companies to transfer and emerge. This industry has a potential. This industry is require more commitment, and I'm confident that we in GCC and GPCA will play a role to guide this industry to a better future. Again, thank you very much for listening, and I wish you a good luck in this conference. Thank you very much.